one of the best concepts of all time. If you appreciate video games on any level, you'll be blown away when you realize the role that beautiful music plays in gaming. Tomyy Tallarico joining us. Video Games Live is the tour, and he, of course, a well-known video games music composer.
Hello, how
and now
are you?
A live music composer.
So you got to describe this for people who haven't heard of Video Games Live.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, Video Games Live is all the greatest video game music of all time played by a full symphony and choir. But what makes it really special and unique is that everything is completely synchronized to massive video screens, special effects, synchronized rock and roll lighting, stage show production, interactive elements with the crowd. So I kind of like to describe it as having all the power and emotion of a symphony orchestra, but combined with the energy and excitement of a rock concert, mixed together with all the cutting-edge visuals and interactivity.
Where did you come up with this idea?
Fun.
Of course, just wanted to have fun and do it, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know, I've been a video game composer for 21 years, and I created the show because I wanted to prove to the world just how culturally significant and artistic video games have become. So I want to create a show for everybody. So you don't, as you can see, you don't have to know anything at all about video games to come to the show. And in fact, those people are the ones who have a greater respect and understanding and appreciation for what we do.
They understand what their kids are doing or what their friends or their husbands.
Now I get it now.
Has Roger Ebert seen the show yet?
He should.
He needs to, man.
He should. I mean, I challenge Mr. Ebert to come to the show and then, you know, say that video games aren't art.
But this is something that blows people away. And when you look at the composition, I mean, for you as a guy who really understands, you know, how that process works, how does it work? I mean, when you're composing music for a game, where are you starting? Are you starting story, visuals?
We do, yeah. I mean, I'll sit down with the game designers at the very beginning of a project. Sometimes it takes like a year and a half to work on a game. So, yeah, and our job is very different from film and television composers because, you know, their stories are linear, you know, whereas with us, we don't have to, the music doesn't have to do this at this exact point. So we can record music and record different branches and different paces orchestrations and paces, and it's all interactive. So it's almost like the player controls
the conductor
is kind of conducting.
How much music do you compose for one game on average?
You can do sometimes, I mean, I'd say the average is probably around 90 minutes to 2 hours, but some games 5, 6, 7 hours of music.
Because they can go in so many different directions.
So many different ways, and that's why I think this music becomes so important. It becomes a part of people's lives. When you're controlling a character on screen, this music is almost, it becomes the soundtrack of your life. And you're controlling this character. So people become emotionally attached. So when they come to our show, people cry during our performance.
Really?
Well, I remember being a kid, right?
What gets them?
Well,
what
like
makes them
somebody
cry?
will come up to me after the show and say, you know, when Zelda came up on screen, I remember it took me back to my childhood where me and my dad used to play Zelda when I was growing up, and my dad passed away a few years ago, and it brings back that emotion, and you know, people cry.
Well, I remember being like a little kid, and either Donkey Kong or Mario Brothers which were the big ones in my life. But you remember being there and like a bowl of cereal half forgotten beside you, while you're sitting there playing a game while it gets soggy.
It brings you back to when you were a kid.
How do you choose the music for this? I mean, because there's so much, and I guess the luxury that you guys have is the show always gets to change, right? I mean, you can mix it up.
That's the important thing, right? I mean, we've been to Vancouver. I've been touring the show for 6 years now. I think this is our 5th time back to Vancouver. And for anyone who's seen the show before, this show will be completely different from the one we played last year.
Can you tell us what we're looking at here? You are rocking out on stage.
This is the PBS special that we did last summer. This is in 90 million households in the U.S. And yeah, you saw a scene there of me rocking out with the cellist. Yeah, headbanging.
How often do you get to say that?
Never.
Rocking out with the cellist.
Right? I mean, well, I've always said that, look, if Beethoven were alive today, he'd be a video game composer. Mozart, Beethoven, these guys were the rock stars of their time. You know, Tchaikovsky, when he debuted his 1812 overture, he had live cannons on stage firing at the appropriate time. So, you know, if these guys were around, they'd be using lasers and video, you know.
How much fun is it for you, Tomyy, being a music composer and working in the video game world? You're usually behind the scenes in a recording studio, to be on the stage and to see that reaction that you're getting from people.
That's the great thing, right? That's the thing that I appreciate the most. most about doing this, because most composers, they sit in their little studio, and it's like, you know, it's like putting a little message in the bottle and you send it out into the ocean, you know. But to perform live on stage and get that instant feedback and you know, connection and that emotion and that energy that comes out. I mean, we've played, you know, we've played on the stages like the Hollywood Bowl. We do 50, 60 shows a year all over the world.
China? How many people?
100,000 people, one show in China. Unbelievable. Yeah, over there they're crazy about Warcraft and all the. So it gets that, you know, energy, and there's fireworks going off and everything.
Which video game does get the most response? Is it?
It depends. It depends on the country. I mean, Mario and Zelda are always popular. Warcraft, Halo is always popular. Final Fantasy is another big popular one. So.
How do you string the stories together, and how does the actual show go together in your mind?
Yeah,
to keep the change. Is there a thread that runs through, or themes that you pick?
I always try to keep the set list dynamic, because there's old stuff, there's new stuff, there's stuff from Japan, there's stuff from here. We have soloists. So a soloist will come out and do something. We have interactive segments where, you know, we're having a big Guitar Hero competition, for example, before the show, and the winner of that competition will come up on stage. They play Guitar Hero while I'm playing live guitar.
I think you just described his fantasy.
The symphony and choir are playing along with us, and they have to score a certain amount of points, and you get a big prize package from Future Shop if you get a certain amount of score. Yeah, so it's really interactive. So dynamics. When I'm putting together a show, the story's got to flow, but it's got to be dynamic. I don't want just, it's not a traditional symphony on stage playing for 3 hours.
How many people are playing again?
We have anywhere from, and we've had 200 people on stage at some time, so it depends on the city and the size of the stage. Anywhere from 60 to 100 people, those are the
And you're
average.
using different orchestras in every city.
Every city.
What are the orchestra, what do the people that are playing the music
They're
feel?
gamers,
what do they
baby,
think about playing
guaranteed.
music?
It's funny. It's an interesting. That's a great question, because, you know, sometimes when we come to a city for the first time, and we show up at rehearsals, and, you know, some of the older folks are going, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog, you know,
World of Warcraft.
This isn't Stravinsky. What is this, you know? But then when they play, and you kind of see, when they play it for the first time, they're kind of nodding around going, oh, this is good music. But then the show happens, and 2,000–3,000 people are yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs like it's the second coming of Elvis Presley or the Beatles. Then the people will come up to me after the break who are a little, you know, apprehensive at first, and they said, you know, I've been playing oboe for 40 years, and I've never heard a crowd like this. When are you coming back?
Nobody goes nuts with the oboe solos,
you know, but now they do, you know, so they love it. So what starts off as apprehension turns into adoration.
Tommy, you know, your career, when you look at it, and you know, we know Victor Lucas pretty well, so
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, we know the connection between you two.
You allow him on this set?
Didn't you quit because his head got too large? Like, actually physically got too big?
Victor's gonna kill you guys.
Dude has a huge melon.
Yeah,
and so now he's got that other guy hosting with him who's got a big head too.
Yeah, so it doesn't look.
And that's the reason, I think, when they had the auditions to replace me, they said, I'm going to find the guy with the hugest melon I can find, and to offset, you know, his. So no, it's.
So what was the question?
What was the question? Let's just riff on Vic for another minute.
Sorry, Vic. I apologize.
No, sorry now. Sure.
But I mean, you look at your career and stuff, and you've really you've always done things that are, you know, that the core is this industry that you love, but you found a way to be so creative within that as well.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny. Like my whole career, again, going back 21 years, when I said I'm going to do music for video games, everyone thought I was insane. Right? And then when me and Vic started Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run, people are like, you're going to do a television show about video games? People thought we were insane. And then when I wanted to come out with the first video game soundtrack album, people aren't going to pay for this, you're insane.
Look at you guys now.
And now we do video games live. Wait a second, you think young people are going to come to a symphony? They don't do that to begin with. And who's going to want to listen to video game music live? You're insane. so that's when we know we have a great idea.
When people tell you you're insane.
If somebody tells me I'm insane, I'm like, cool. All right, it's going to be great.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy. You can see Video Games live in Vancouver, April 13th and the 14th. That's tonight and tomorrow. It's at the Centre for the Performing Arts, and they'll be stopping off in Victoria, April 15th at the Royal Theatre, and then to Calgary. And basically, you can go to the website to find out all the dates, because Tommy will be touring all across Canada.
Victor Lucas called. He said, "You're insane."
Oh, there you go. Exactly.
Okay, so.